Women all over the world are battling different forms of inequalities, being it at the social or professional levels. This March, the SOTAMBE Film Institute is celebrating women, their dreams, and the courage to beat the odds. Female Film Focus is an appreciation series to increase visibility of females in the male-dominated industry, and we are going to share with you conversations with five amazing Zambian filmmakers who are going to talk about the ups and downs of their jobs, their dreams, and a little bit more. To all warriors in heels, this edition is for you. Happy International Women's Day.
Welcome, everyone. This is Female Film Focus. Really, this is just an appreciation series set off to increase the visibility and industry exposure of female roles in the film industry, and it strives to tackle underrepresentation in the industry in general. So this is March, and we're celebrating Women's Month, and as part of it, we're celebrating Jessie Chisi, who is one of our guests this evening. She's a director in film. I'll just give a brief introduction about her before she comes on. She's known as the Iron Lady. She is a Zambian director and screenwriter. She is known for products like Between Rings that opened the 2015 Docs Festival. From the film, Chisi received the Diploma of Merit at the Temper Film Festival 2015. She'll correct me if I'm mispronouncing certain things. And has won other awards at other international film festivals. She has directed seasons 1 and 2 of Zambia's hit TV series Zuba. Her short film Imagination won the Golden Young African Film Awards, or YAFMA, for fiction in the 2020 Africa Film Festival in Leuven in 2016. She recently became one of the directors of the 3-part documentary series Year Zero, which was produced by Catherine Bigelow. Her short film, Shimulala, I believe it's extracted, was screened at the Climate Crisis Film Festival in 2021, which is held in Glasgow as part of the COP26. She has been running the annual Zambian Short Film Festival since 2013. In summary, this lady has a resume. So yes, so really the film focus is SOTAMBE's Film Institute's way of contributing to the film industry and just giving voices to the women. So we have different women who are going to be coming on. Tonight we have Jessie Chisi, who's a director, as I mentioned before. We also have scriptwriters coming in, showrunners, actors. You're going to get the whole story. So Jessie, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. Thanks, SOTAMBE Film Festival, SOTAMBE Film Institute. Thank you really for having set this platform to celebrate women in this Women's Month. I really appreciate it to be part of the other trailblazers that are coming on this shoreline.
Awesome. We are also very privileged to have you join us this evening. So to get started, I've listed quite a number of productions and things that you've done over time here and there. Which is your favorite production so far? I'm pretty sure this is a hard question.
Favorite. Basically, like I wouldn't call like my favorite. Like I always approach each and every project with a new growth, so for me it's always about doing things that I love, and the why always pops up. Why am I doing it? I think everything has been so important in terms of the essence of why I tell stories, but if you want me to choose one thing, basically one of the most important projects that I've done that I've really felt like I've contributed to humanity and to the real world cause is telling a story about the pollution in Chingola, the Shimlada story, which really affected a lot of people, and just using film as a small element to help them forge ahead and help them win their case, which they were fighting for justice. So that for me was like, I felt like this was really an important story to me and an important element of why I tell stories.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So, what did this particular story stimulate something that was already in you? Like it was an idea you already had, but you were not so sure how to bring it out. And then when you saw the situation in Chingola, you thought, okay, this is finally putting the final pieces together. Did it start when you were younger, or it was some particular event that led to this?
Well, I mean, like storytelling stems from different elements. It could be from events, from things around you, from articles, from stories, from hearing things. But in this particular story, literally like Action Aid, I've been working on different humanitarian stories and helping enhance voices of story makers and those who are in vulnerable situations. So they approached me, there's a story, about Chingola residents who've been polluted for over a decade. And for the first time, they're taking this particular organization that has polluted them to courts in the UK. So we would like to tell the story. It's challenging, it's not an easy story. Would you like to tell it? I felt it fell into the core purpose of why I tell stories. I felt it was an important story, though risky. I said, yes, I would like to tell this kind of story. This is how the story landed into my hands. I knew about the pollution, obviously being Zambian, what had happened with the minds of the people, but I'd never taken that keen interest to go deeper into like, how is this affecting people until that moment. That's when I started researching, and of course, having this huge, storytelling is always about access, and having this access through Action Aid to go into this, close relevance with the characters was one of the most important element in bringing that story to life.
Okay, excellent. So do you feel like there's a particular theme that defines you as a director? In other words, there's a particular type of film or documentary or whatever that you tend to lean more towards because it speaks to a certain part of you, or are you open to exploring the different avenues depending on what comes your way?
That's a very good question. Like, obviously, as filmmakers, there's always this important element, like what's your unique voice? What sort of stories would you want to tell? For me, I'm always drawn to stories that are in disbalance, the haves and have-nots, or stories of injustice versus justice, or stories that just disbalances the elements of society, like trying to find the balance and question that. Those stories sort of like provoke something in me, but I want to use elements that that are very unique in bringing those stories. It could be either humor or or drama and things like that. So I'm drawn to that because I lean between both fiction and documentary. So people always ask me, are you a documentary filmmaker or a fiction? But I do both worlds, even though I enjoy documentary filmmaking because it allows you to really like go into these original emotions of people. You don't have to play, act, anything. Everything is just there before you. So I enjoy the challenge of documentary filmmaking, and I love fiction because it allows me to explore themes that interest me. So I don't know if I've answered your question, what themes interest me. It's themes to do with women, children, crises, social justice in society. It's such things, obviously, like, again, if I think so deep about it, I'm also looking at, as Africans, we're always known to tell these melancholic, somber, sad stories, poverty stories. But I would also want to tell such a fun, fast running story. It's not somber, it's not melancholic, it's not downpouring. It's just a beautiful story, but it's really showing our tenacity, our thrivingness as human beings, as opposed to what we've been portrayed.
Okay, interesting. Since you've mentioned documentaries, so you move between like films and documentaries. As you mentioned in your resume, you're currently working on a 3-part documentary called Year Zero. I believe it's with Catherine Bigelow. So I don't know if we're allowed to pry, but can you give us some insight?
I,
I don't know.
I cannot. I know, like the New York Times reporter removed the deadline. I mean, produced that. Of course, like it's something I'm doing, but I cannot talk about it right now because obviously my producers have got a whole lot of plan ahead in terms of marketing and when to talk about it, but it's soon, so we can catch up with that one on the next. I'm not allowed to overpour because we're still in post-production. Yeah.
Okay, all right. But are we allowed to ask, like, what's been your experience in this particular one? We don't need to know the gist of it, but what has made this one so special in and of itself for you?
All right, it's still talking about it. You're gonna get me in trouble.
Okay, fine.
I will tell you all the experience. It's been amazing. That I cannot lie to you. It's been such an amazing, like a more like enhanced growth for me to be among the cream of creatives. Yeah, I think short terms. Yeah,
that word that you've mentioned, the growth part, was actually what I was trying to get at. Because, you know, sometimes as filmmakers in the different spaces that you're in, you can get comfortable, particularly if it's been a success. Usually when you're successful at something, you prefer to like stick there because it's safe. But you've challenged yourself to go beyond the safe zone and maybe try something different, try something new, try something unfamiliar. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So in that, this is now my final question. What advice would you give to young females in the filmmaking space? So you've touched like different spaces of the film industry. What has been your growth experience, and what would you advise upcoming young filmmakers?
Obviously, like starting out as a young girl in the film industry, I followed my passion. I started out when I was really young. I was 13 years old. Literally, like I just wanted to be a storyteller. So, and sometimes as a young girl, you know, young girls are not always advantaged to find their passwords in the mainstream industry, media industry, because there's a lot of vicious, you know, elements that disadvantage them. But one thing I would tell young people, if you're female, all you need is your talent, nothing more. You don't need your body, you don't need you. Of course, like film and whatnot, looks are very important, but any kind of looks works for film. It doesn't, you don't have to be extremely beautiful. There's always a particular character you need for film. So don't feel you're not worthy enough such that someone can use you and put you into a film. So just know that what you bring to your table is talent, is nothing more. That's rule number one of being a successful female filmmaker, is understanding your abilities and your talents, that there's no two ways about it. Okay. And secondly, obviously engage yourself with different productions. Zambia's really advanced. I mean, from the way we started, like if you think of 14 years ago, you know, when we started, no one took this industry so serious, but now you're at a stage where everyone looks at film as viable. So this is a really serious industry, and if you want to try it as a career, go for it. Nothing is impossible. I mean, if you still want to have education, go for it. Don't always limit yourselves to something because someone has set boundaries. Go beyond those boundaries, do what you love, follow through your passion, your strengths, your abilities. Find mentors. I've always, you know, appreciated mentors. People have mentored me. The likes of Catherine Kaseketi, Lawrence Thompson. Many people have mentored me throughout my journey, and I've appreciated that. And it's always important, you know, to always have people being there before you, because they guide you. Then they can also tell you, you know, how to go about it. Yeah.
Awesome. I know I said that was the last question, but your answer made me think of one more question. I promise this will be the last one.
You can ask me all the questions you want. I'm all here for you.
Awesome. So the question I have is, what is your ultimate goal as a filmmaker? Because you, like you've said, you've had people that have ushered you, they've been your mentors. You've also taken steps to learn for yourself, knowing where you fit in the film industry. So what is your ultimate goal as a filmmaker?
My ultimate goal as a filmmaker is just to tell African stories, African cinema, to be part of the changing voice of African cinema. I mean, there's a euphoria right now going around Africa and storytelling, and it's empowering, it's endearing, and it's just amazing, you know, to be just alive at the stage of life and just to put yourself strategically positioned to be part of the people that enhance and lifted those stories that are never been told from our perspective, you know, because when you think of cinema more, we've appreciated foreign stories, you know, we grew up watching American stories, European stories, but we never saw much of people who looked like us. I mean, like when I was growing up, the most stories I remember is watching Sarafina, Shaka Zulu, but I mean, now we can make our stories trained to the 21st century. We can make all sorts of stories, and I just want to be part of it. I want to be that Zambian that, okay, there was once a Zambian filmmaker, a female, who taught stories, and to have my stories being used in film school. I'm like, oh, that was a classical film that she made. It was made 50 years ago. Like just my legacy, to leave it on to my children, to everyone, to every African who would want to see that it is possible to tell our own stories from our own perspective. Because they say the one who owns your stories, who owns your medium, controls you, right? And this is what's happening right now. If you look around in the medium or in the media, you find, you know, our stories from our African perspective are being told by other people. So they control our narrative. So now we've opened up. We have a handful number of filmmakers who are using film with knowledge, with depth, not really scratching from the top, but from the depths, and understanding the stories really can enhance, can link us, can expand us. It's a privilege to use. And then being female, you know, women have been underrepresented from time immemorial in telling stories. We are the custodians of our communities. We cook, we do everything. We raise children. We literally birth life. And our stories of us are told by other people. So those people that tell our stories control our narratives, our power, how we're represented, you know. So for me as a female, I just want to be there to like have really strong female characters seen on screen, those that have never been seen, like just change this narrative. I don't know. I spoke a lot, but I hope it was quite precise.
That was a perfect response. Honestly, I actually just want to say thank you for being one of those ladies that is breaking barriers on our behalf, like where you're taking it upon yourself to actually change the narrative, to not just be the girl on the screen that people are seeing, but being the one behind, dictating the story, dictating what it looks like, dictating the message that is being communicated. So I think, honestly, all I can say is a genuine thank you. Looking forward to hearing more about your productions and all that is going on. And congratulations for coming this far. I know you may have had many challenges along the way, but I can sense your commitment to sticking to your goal and what you want to accomplish and the message you want to leave. So we're very grateful for that.
I'm so grateful to SOTAMBE Film Festival for what they're doing. You know, like you guys are so amazing and what you're doing for the film industry. And of course, like, you know, it's the second time I'm attending this female lineups with SOTAMBE, and just the commitment, that we just appreciate you and thank you so much for for being our cheerleaders and creating a path for all women in the film industry.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure having you. This has been Female Film Focus, and we look forward to hearing from more of our ladies in the film industry. Thank you so much.